Just as Joseph Smith claimed, all the prophets of every dispensation have seen the grand vision of the history of the world, especially of the events of the meridian of time, the atonement of Jesus Christ, and the events of the latter days, with his return to earth in glory, and the gathering of Israel, and the return of the 10 tribes. The most complete account of the events of the latter days is found in John the Revelator's record of his apocalyptic vision. As Nephi was told, it was left to John to tell this story. Other prophets have left us fragmentary accounts and brief glimpses of what will come, but only John has given us a blow-by-blow description. This was the plan all along, as the Lord repeatedly told his prophets to seal up their accounts to be revealed in our dispensation in his own due time. It will be in our dispensation when the records will be restored and the events described in them unfold. To this end, Joseph Smith was called. For Joseph to fulfill his role, he needed power and authority, so he was given the keys of the gathering of Israel and the return of the 10 tribes. Of course, like all the prophets before him, Joseph would need to see what would happen in vision. In his famous letter to John Wentworth, the editor of the Chicago Democrat, detailing the history and doctrines of the church, Joseph openly declared that he had seen numerous angels, and that these angels had shown him the events of the last days. From his statement, it appears that Joseph did not see the whole prophetic vision at one time, but received it incrementally through the instrumentality of numerous visits by angelic messengers. We can't be certain which angelic visitors showed Joseph the events in vision, as Joseph makes only passing references to the identities of his visitors. We do know from the record that Joseph was shown the future in vision by the angel Moroni during the long night when Joseph learned about the gold plates. Joseph states that Moroni related these things, suggesting he verbally described the judgments. However, Joseph then explains that Moroni's words were accompanied with a vision. We know that Moroni showed Joseph the location of the gold plates in vision as he spoke. It would be uncharacteristic of Moroni not to show Joseph the events of the last days while reciting what would happen. The pattern of angelic visitation as recorded in Scripture is that when angels relate, they also show. As did his predecessors, Joseph recorded the revelations he received and the visions he saw concerning the judgments of the latter days. Perhaps the greatest vision of the reconstitution of the polar configuration and the return of the 10 tribes from their planet to our Earth, other than John's apocalypse, was seen and recorded by Joseph in section 133 of the Doctrine and Covenants. Joseph demonstrated a detailed knowledge of the events of the latter days in numerous statements to the brethren and the members of the church. Many of the statements, including his identification of the sign of the Son of Man as a planetary comet or a cometary planet, could only have come from actually seeing the event as it transpired.